What's your favorite Lil Uzi Vert song right now?
I don't really care if you cry. Listen, I can't front. Although I don't like, he's talking about, all my friends are dead and all that type of shit. But, and I don't necessarily like his fashion choices and all this type of shit. But I'm not going to sit here and listen to a song that's banging and just act like, I'm not fucking with that.
Well,
that shit is banging right there. I like the use of his voice, the fucking beat, the way he's riding it, the melody, all of that shit. I can't front on it.
Well, what they say is that he's talking about money. All my friends are dead.
Ah, okay. Even better.
That's
but these motherfuckers, as they take their Molly Percocet and they fucking, some of the side effects could be, suicidal thoughts.
Right. And he said, push me to the edge.
Right.
And, so even though he may secretly mean that, he's obviously playing with the suicidal.
Right. And
concept.
for some people, they might not understand that he was talking about
most
money.
people, no one really, you were surprised as anybody I was surprised when I heard it.
Right. But it makes sense. I get it.
Right. Because there's a, Logic on his new album, he has a song that's basically the phone number of the suicide prevention lifeline.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And now you're starting to see all these people committing suicide on Facebook Live to the point where certain people are asking that it be shut down and whatever else. And I just, there's that show on Netflix about suicide. I don't know if you heard about that. 13 Reasons Why.
Oh, yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 13 Reasons Why is a show about suicide on Netflix, which it's been banned in certain countries and everything else like that. For some reason, so for example, there's a story that just came out the other day. Man in Peru imitates Netflix's 13 Reasons Why in suicide. So basically, people are emulating the suicide from the show in their own suicides.
Okay.
For some reason, it seems in the last 6 months or so, suicide has become more, mainstream than ever before in my history. I've never heard suicide been mentioned this many times. Have you?
I don't know. I mean, it's not that I don't keep track of the suicide references, but
let me tell you, this one time I interviewed Scarface. It was the first time I interviewed Scarface.
Suicide is the fucking option for everybody. If you ever get tired of it, man, it's not too late to quit. You can always quit. If you get too tired of this shit, you can always quit. But when you commit, that, you know what I mean? That's it. Once that motherfucker is back and it's coming, and ain't no looking back.
I've never in my life thought about committing suicide. Ever.
I remember once I started going through some health problems after I graduated from college. It was like some stomach problems, which ultimately ended up being in my head. But it took a couple of years for me to figure that out.
You were a hypochondriac?
I guess so. You could say that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think part of it was sort of like, as you get older, your body starts to change. Mm-hmm. The way and you think it's some sort of disease or whatever, but really it's just your body changing. And you don't. I didn't learn. I mean, I was like 23.
So when you got scared and was ready.
I got scared. I thought it was. Well, no, it wasn't that. Hold on. I kept getting all these tests, all these doctors. No one could find anything, but I kept feeling bad and so forth. And I realized ultimately it was all in my head. And once I realized that, I got better. But during that time, I'm like, I don't know how long I can keep going through this. Like, I didn't really think of okay, I'm gonna go kill myself. But life is becoming kind of hard living with this disease, essentially, which wasn't really a disease. But it was like, I can kind of relate to someone who has a real disease finally saying, something, fuck it, I'm just tired of suffering every day. I'm just tired of going through all this pain.
Yeah, well, that's different, though, than just somebody who See, there's disease, and and then there's disease. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like dis-ease. Like, you're just not at
Right.
peace in your mind.
Right. So, for example, a very close friend of mine, Disco D, is a producer. Did some stuff with like 50 Cent and a bunch of other people. He was bipolar, and me and him spent a lot of time together in Brazil. And he had tried to commit suicide before. And he said, you know something? He said, well, last time I did it, honestly, it felt cool because it was like the noise finally stopped. And I kind of felt at ease. And what happened was maybe a year or so later, he ended up hanging himself in his mother's house. She ended up finding him like that, which, I still felt was one of the most fucked up things you could do. To have your mother find you hanging in anywhere. But he ended up killing himself. But, he was bipolar. He was going, I saw his manic episodes and stuff like that. I don't quite know why people kill themselves. I mean, like, this is the only person I knew that committed suicide. And, it was painful. I mean, I remember when I read the news, like, it was like, oh my God, like, what the fuck?
I mean, it's all what it's in your mind. Like, we live in a mental world. If your mind is not straight, then the world is not straight.
100%.
So it's like, it's hard to fathom when your mind is in a good place and you're trying to understand what would make somebody do something like what were they, that's the first thing you ask yourself, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
What were you thinking? And that shows you that this world is all about how you think,
right.
How you perceive it. It's not just the physical. Everybody thinks about the physical shit.
Yeah.
But really, this is all that matters.
And a lot of times when you hear about these suicide stories, it's like it's done to make someone else feel a certain type of way. You know what I mean? Like, I loved you and you rejected me.
So now
I'm going to
give
kill
you
myself.
the ultimate pain and give you the ultimate guilt.
Yeah, you're going to feel guilty for the rest of your life for what you did to me. Mm-hmm. I remember there was a story about like this mother who killed like herself and her child, and like there was a suicide note telling like the father saying, now you can go enjoy your single life like you've always wanted. I was like, oh shit. Like,
see, I know. I mean, within the black community, it's not. I feel suicide is probably lower than, in the white community. But I've known two people that have committed suicide. But they both were under circumstances of, I think they were trying to get rid of their pain. Like one of them was a female that had multiple sclerosis. Now, if you know about multiple sclerosis, when you
tough.
get your shit, your whole body's fucked up, like, you know what I mean? And going through that for years or whatever. And, I'm sure there was other factors or whatever, but, she ended up hanging herself. And then I had another friend. He was hooked on heroin since he was like 12 years old.
damn.
You know what I mean?
Okay, that's tough.
So, and I don't think he could never get off it. So by the time he was 18, I feel like he just had enough and he fucking just hung himself.
There was Joey Badass's friend, Capital Steez. He killed himself.
Right, I heard about that.
Then there was Styles P's daughter, who killed herself.
Right.
So it does occasionally happen.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
In every
I'm saying,
community.
But in certain communities, it's going to be higher. Certain communities have a more propensity towards it.
Well, I think that also, if you came from nothing, going back to nothing is not as big of a deal as if you came from a lot and suddenly have to go to nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been dead broke. No money in my pocket, trying to figure out how to make my next meal. If I have to be dead broke again, I'm not gonna kill myself. I'm just gonna have to try to figure out how to get back. But if I always was rich and suddenly found myself in this very unfamiliar situation.
Yeah, look how many white people jumped out the window when the stock market crashed back in the
Right.
fucking 30s or whatever the fuck that was. Like literally.
Yeah.
Jumped out the window just at the prospect of, oh shit, I just lost all my money.
Yeah.
Mad suicides.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's all how you see the world.